Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So thank you guys so much for watching this series as I edit Survivor and got it ready for publication. As you can see it behind me, I always like to show you guys the real reality of, the process of writing and editing, and sometimes it isn't always easy. And in order for it to be this wonderful, thrilling, exciting book that it is today, Survivor but Deadly meets the Hunger Games, with an epic fantasy twist, multicast of characters, no spice, romantic subplots, all of that. It takes process, it takes work, it takes effort, and I wasn't always into it, and I dreaded it really badly, but my editor and I worked together. She helped push me and this story, and I was able to add 80,000 words in it and completely change it and rewrite it and make it the book that you see before you. It is available for pre-order on Amazon right now in ebook form, and it's coming out in November, so be sure to grab your copy and pre-order it now. I'll have a link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, so it's day 6 of editing Survivor, and I technically already have chapter 4 edited. As you can see here, my phone is here. I started a focus timer on the Finch app, which is one of the apps that I use to help me stick to my goals. I use it, it's more of a self-care app, but I actually do use it to keep track of my writing and editing. I have a video here about all the apps that I use that helps me write and edit and stay focused and stuff, so I'll have that here somewhere on the thing as a card. But anyways, so I listened to the recordings for chapter 4, and I noticed that chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8 didn't have a whole lot, so I listened to all those recordings and took notes all the way through chapter 8. So I'm pretty excited. So I did that first, and I got straight into editing tonight. No distractions. I was working a little between 7 and 7:30, and I just finished editing, and now I think I need to add 2 different perspectives, 2 new scenes to the chapter. But I'm trying to think. Basically, the characters are all going through an obstacle course, and the way that I structured this one was I used chapter 4 to introduce some new characters that we hadn't been, because it's a huge cast, and each character's perspective covered one obstacle. So then I'd go to the next character and they would be at the next obstacle, and just little things like that. Some characters that we're familiar with. I didn't do a whole bunch of new characters, but you get the idea. So in order to add 2 new perspectives, I have to figure out new obstacles or ways of having them do something, something major happening on one of the obstacles to one of these teams to make it different. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. And I was sitting here just staring at the screen like this, just brainstorming and trying to think. So that's where I'm at right now. I just figured I'd do a check-in. Also, I have my Darth Vader Snuggie that my husband made me. And I was just wearing my long sleeve shirt, which I actually never get to wear long sleeve shirts. So I was pretty excited about that, but it's very cold, so I had to put my Snuggie on while I was sitting here thinking. Because I technically didn't necessarily say, oh, there's this many obstacles, or that these are the only obstacles in place. So I could technically do that. And then the last few scenes in the book, not in the book, the last few scenes of this chapter, finish up the obstacle course. So they would have to, I know where they have to go. They have to go before the final 2 perspectives of the scene. So I created a new document, because apparently that's the only way I can function with writing new stuff. I don't know why, but that's how I function. And so I've got it all set up and ready, but again, I'm staring at the document right now. I hope you can see that reflected in my eyes. I just can't figure out an obstacle or what to do. Also, it's opposite. So if you look here, you see the little Minecraft chicken that my sister got me. It was one of the little gadgets she intended for Christmas, but we ended up doing it on New Year's. So, oh my gosh. This is the document. You can see the tail end of the document on the computer, and this is my keyboard with the lights on. So, enjoy this time lapse of me writing. Okay, so I think I finished the thing, so I'm going to switch to my phone so I can show you guys my computer more easily. But I finished writing. It has been 42 minutes since I started the recording. I talked for a little bit, so it's probably been closer to 40 minutes. And I wrote 1,199 words. And as you guys probably saw, there when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. And there were several times when I wrote something that didn't make sense. So I had to delete it and go back. And I actually kept one of the deleted moments or whatever, which I deleted 52 words. And then the second one that I deleted was 76 words. So I deleted 128 words altogether, but that doesn't matter much. So I wrote the scene. I hope it makes sense. I'm still a little like iffy about it. But I did get it written. So I'm going to put it into the document and then do all the finishing touches with you guys. And we will call it a night. Hey guys, so I just switched to my phone. I'm putting those recordings where they belong. But yeah, so as I said, I edited all of this and I still have to actually put that in the document real quick. I wanted to make sure I got the recordings in the proper place. Oh, you know what? I meant to write 2 scenes. I just got so caught up in that scene that I only wrote 1. I think I'm going to stick with this one because this adds an extra 1,000 words and it kind of covers the end of another obstacle that was already in the scene, and that did create a bit of conflict that I kept having to fix things due to it already being I don't know, it just created a lot of conflict, so I don't want to add any more than what I already have. Oops. That if you guys are reading the book, that may actually spoil the characters that I'm adding. So delete that. I did, in fact, delete it. So I added it in the place that it needs to go. And I can't tell you where it is because if you guys are reading the book and you're reading this chapter and you figure out which scene I added, then you'll figure out which characters I added, and thus it'll spoil the whole story. So I got it added. The other one is not as important. That other one, I can find opportunities to include more moments with that character, whether I go to that character's perspective or include that character in more scenes to let them shine a little bit. I don't want this chapter to get too long, and I don't want to break up the pacing of the chapter. And because that scene was so long already and was on the verge of not making a whole lot of sense, I'm gonna not add any more. I want to keep the integrity of the story intact. So I've got that added. I'm gonna highlight it to find out how much I edited tonight, and then I'm gonna log everything. Yeah, these are gonna be long chapters. So the first thing that I always do is I always put, when I copy the chapter that I edited, I always put it in Google Docs. And then since it's highlighted, that tells me how much the last chapter I edited was, and that can give me my tally or total or whatever you want to call it. So it's 10:30, so I still have an hour of free time, less than that by the time I finish all of this, because it takes forever for this to load. Sorry, that was making me a little mad. Okay, I'm going to type in my progress sheet. So it's January 6th, 2025, and all together it was, spoilers, 4,911. So that's actually surprising. It's actually less than some of the other chapters have been, which is good. We don't want them to be too long. So here, so again, January 6th, 4,911 words, and 1199 of that was the new scene that I just wrote, and that was chapter 4. So if we add that to our total, 23,017 plus 4,911, sorry, that was a little lower, 27,928, 27,928. Okay. I want to make sure. 27,928. 27,928. Yep. So we're at 27,000 words, which is exciting. Oh my gosh. So we're going to save that as my progress, which is nice to see the progress. Here we are. So our little graph, by now I think we're several days ahead, so it's probably going to start showing even more our progress. So we are at chapter 5. So if you look there, look at it. Oh my gosh, look. We weren't expected to get here until the 9th of January, or the 10th. It looks like it's in between 9 and 11, and it's the 6th, so I'm like 3 days ahead. That is wonderful. Cut that part out too. I gotta stop showing you my screen because y'all are just gonna see all the spoilers. Even though these scenes that I did cut were scenes cut from a new scene that I wrote, I'm gonna add it all to my scenes cut document thing. Because it's still scenes that I cut out of the story that didn't make it into the story and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing that. And then we are on chapter 5, which, sorry, I save it to the cruiser and then I save it to my documents, which is then uploaded to the cloud. So real quick, I'm going to grab the chapter 5 out of this and see, okay, if I can get, I wanted to make sure it was like showing. Can't tell. Yeah, chapter 6. So it looks like from page 41 to 52. So that one's going to be over 10 pages together. So this is going to be all of chapter 5, which I do already have the notes for, and I don't remember there being like a whole lot. So and by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the issues in this chapter, one of the parts of the obstacle course was not very clear, so I had to fix that. And then as part of the obstacle, if you don't want to know anything, then I guess you can click away, but it's like a minor thing. But one of the things is you had to carry this crystal through the obstacle course, and so, but I forgot that people were holding a crystal, so they were doing all these things that would require 2 hands, and so in several of them I had to go back and fix that. But it was like, glad my editor caught it because I didn't. So that is okay. I'm having trouble with my internet, so that's not saving, so that's wonderful. Okay, let's see, we did blue, purple, pink, and red. Let's do green. I think green for this big fat book. It's a big green. Time to color in the bookshelf. In case you guys hadn't noticed, my coloring is not the prettiest, but hopefully this is still satisfying to watch. And yes, I will be coloring the bookshelves. Although, as you can see, I didn't actually edit that very well. Alright, let's get my editing thing. Oh, you know what? Today was day 7. Not day 6. I had the day wrong. I even wrote the recording wrong. So I'm gonna have to actually fix that. There we go. Okay, so I got that. Okay, so I've got what I've edited in here. So it looks like, okay, the maps are in front. This is 38 versus 34. So 34 goes first. So we're just gonna slip that in there and show you guys that is how much progress I've made and how much I've edited so far. This all goes together, and I use this thing. Okay, like that, and then this goes to the front of the document, which I then actually stopped the recording. So that has been day 7 of editing Survivor. So I'm actually gonna have to go back in both of the files because I saved the recording that I did on my computer. I saved it to 2 different folders, so I'm gonna have to go back in there and save the correct name because I did day 6 instead of day 7, but it's okay. So I'm going to fix that, and it is 10:40, so I have 30 to 40 minutes till dinner. So that gives me 30 to 40 minutes of time to either work on YouTube or something else. So I will check with you guys tomorrow. I also wanted to clarify that I'm actually feeling really good. Tonight was another one of those nights that I had to push myself to get into it, but once I started editing, I did better, and learning that there wasn't as much to fix was still kind of a relief for me. So sometimes it's just like a dread to get started and get the motivation to get started, but once I got started, I got into it, and I got really into it, and I'm actually having fun editing the book once I get past that. And it's like the weirdest thing for me, and then when I get finished with it, it's like a huge accomplishment. And then the fact that I finished it almost an hour ago was a huge relief. So it was very freeing to then have all this time to just sit and write an extra scene or whatever. And I got really into the scene, even though I was like, I don't know what I'm doing and this doesn't make any sense. But hopefully my editor and I can go through it pretty thoroughly, since the new scenes will only have 1 round, you know, so hopefully we can get that figured out. But I wanted to let you guys know that I feel really good about it and everything. So it is very cold over here, by the way. There's cold air that seeps in through the side door, and then I'm by both of the windows, even though we have 2 different heaters to keep the whole living room and kitchen and dining room. Like, it's a huge space, so the heaters don't heat them very well. But anyways, I digress. I will check with you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing or reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you enjoyed watching this episode and want to keep watching, then check out the next episode. It'll be here.